Hi everyone, my name is Florence and welcome back to my channel. Today I'll show you how to make seedless blackberry jam with no pectin. If, like me, you can't pick over a kilo of blackberries in one session, then you can freeze them and store them until you have enough. You can also do this in smaller batches, just adjust the recipe accordingly. I'd recommend freezing them straight from the bush. Don't wash them as this will add extra water to the mix. And before you start this recipe, just make sure you defrost them in a bowl or a bag, making sure not to lose any of that precious juice. Set your oven to 120 degrees Celsius or 248 degrees Fahrenheit and place your jars inside on a tray. This will sterilise them and heat them enough so that the jars become shelf stable later. Move your berries into a suitable saucepan or pot and crush them for a few minutes using a potato masher. This starts the extraction of the blackberry juice. If, like me, you froze your blackberries, you might notice that they're slightly lighter in colour, but don't worry, this doesn't change taste. I realised maybe I shouldn't be wearing a light coloured dress, so I went and got changed. Transfer them to a medium heat and add in your sugar. I use a 1:1 ratio, 1 kilo of blackberries to 1 kilo of sugar, and it's also better to use granulated sugar rather than caster, but it isn't essential. Mix in your sugar and continue mashing until you can't hear the sugar anymore and it's all dissolved. This might sound weird, but once you get started, you'll know what I mean. Remove your mix from the heat and strain through a fine sieve. Now this bit is a bit tedious, but it's worth it. I don't know about you, but I just absolutely hate eating blackberries and then getting the pips stuck in my teeth and trying all day to pick them out. By pushing the mixture down against the sieve, you're extracting as much of that blackberry juice as possible. You want to do this until you have a seed pulp. You can save this or chuck it away, but if you save it, you can make fruit leather with it later. I'm trying this out for the first time this year. Transfer all of your sugary juice back into a clean pot and return to the heat. Whilst the mixture is heating up, you can add your lemon juice. Make sure to keep stirring so the mixture doesn't burn or the sugar doesn't stick to the bottom of the pan. Pig found this really boring. It does take a little while with a big batch. when it's finally come to a rolling boil, continue to stir for 90 seconds. This is where you need to test if it's reached setting point. All you do is you place a small bit of the mix onto a cool plate and wait for 30 seconds. Run your finger through it, and if it separates and stays apart, then it's ready to jar. If not, and it combines again, return to the heat and continue testing every 30 to 40 seconds. This batch took about 4 minutes. Remove your jars from the oven and carefully place on some paper towel. A great tip I read is to put your lids into near boiling water. This softens the rubber and gives more chance of an airtight seal later on. Carefully decant the mix into your jars. By having hot jars, the hot liquid won't make the jars crack. You then want to wipe around the tops of your jars to make sure nothing is going to prevent that seal. Carefully remove your lids from the hot water and wipe dry and add them to each jar. Now this next part is super important. Screw your lids on tight. None of that finger tight stuff here. Screw it on until you can't anymore. Then turn them upside down and cover them with a towel. This prevents them from cooling too quickly and you're more likely to get a popped jar lid. At this point, Pig was so bored and really wanted to go for his walk, so enjoy some scenes of a Dartmoor sunset. It's the next day and normally I'd say leave your jam at least a week. This helps it set more in my opinion, but I'm impatient. Checking on your jars, you want to make sure that all of your lids have popped. Basically, you don't want to be able to click them. The other way to test if your jars are like mine is you can unscrew them and hold them by the flat lid. And there you have it, Seedless Blackberry Jam with no pectin. Blackberry jam is a lot softer and less jelly-like than other jams, so just keep that in mind. But it's honestly the taste of summer. Great for cakes, on crumpets, on pancakes, in cocktails, making blackberry milk. The list is truly endless. I hope this was helpful, and subscribe if you want more.